Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with some more Cosmonarchy. We're going to finish up our 3-game set between HitEmUp and Krankendau, going on to Dyadic Shore. And it looks like HitEmUp will indeed be Terran this time around, thanks to Krankendau's expert replay annotation. We have that information. HitEmUp is in the top left, and it looks like he might be either Periwinkle or Deep Periwinkle, but I'm going to say he is Periwinkle. There it is. Now, I did get a little bit of assistance from the fact that they were texting. They typed some messages in the chat, and that gave me a little bit of a leg up there. Krankendau, of course, the maroon Zerg in the bottom left. And so, yeah, as we're getting into things, a brief moment to mention that if my energy levels are a bit lower in this cast, don't blame me too hard. It's just that the last cast was so sick nasty that I actually got a little sick in between the recording of that part and this part. But there you go. Apparently D-Jeps is hamster. Who would have guessed? Kind of reminds me of I had this idea for an entity called Zazaj. And that's kind of what Jemps. I don't even know how you'd pronounce that. But might as well be chimps, you know? Just chimping out. And that's sometimes what happens with Zerg. They just ooga booga all over the keyboard. You can ask Kapsea about that. Kapsea knows. Now, it looks like Krankendau is going to be going for the classic sort of Kagrant Pool Larvosk build. That is a fairly bog standard opener for Zerg. You can, of course, make some adjustments to that kind of build order as you see fit. Where you can go for things like if you go your pool earlier, then you get your first military unit out faster, but your eco's a bit delayed. You can go straight for Kagrant into Larvosk, and then get your pool a little bit after if you want. And of course, some people do go for a tech structure other than the pool first, although it is a bit more rare. And this is, I think this is the more recent version of Dyadic Shore, but it might not be, because I guess I only updated that. I only uploaded that very recently, so this might still be the same version that we saw that pretty epic game between Jack Yelansky and Neblime on. This is a map by Biddy B. Shout out Biddy B. Biddy B is a happy bee because I did recently enable some more epic map-making features. And of course, shout out to DF for helping us out with that, as well as Veek7 for reviewing my code and giving me some pointers. Still trying to improve my programming, and no better man to learn about that from than the Veekener. Now, HitEmUp has gone for double Fulcrum, and he's just going to cut everything and start a ministry up afterwards. He does have his quarry out, his first Talus is coming online, and he's got a couple of vultures on the way. Looks like he'll be setting up for a soft contain. I kind of like this thin little, like fuck you strip of Basilica that lets you shoot onto the low ground there. Remember, Cliff Advantage was nerfed semi-recently, or it used to be +2, now it's +1 for any players who have maybe not checked out Cosmonarchy in a little bit. And this happens to be the first video you click on, well, now you know. First towel is just going to be going on to Scout, which opens me up for a sponsored sip. You can donate on coffee to get some more sponsored sip. Oh. I guess that means that the most recent joiner of the coffee should get a shout out every time I'm sponsoredly sipping. And that, of course, is going to be none other than Shadowless Nexus. Shout out to that guy. Now, that Talus flew a little close to the sun there. The Quasma almost just swatted him down. But he is still alive. I guess, looking at it, the Talus should probably have a smaller health bar. Because he doesn't have that much more HP than the Mason, right? He's only got 10 more HP, but his health bar is like twice as long. So I should probably change that at some point. Ministry's nearly finishing up here for our HitEmUp, our Leviathan. And it looks like he is indeed going to lift off that bad boy and get it down there shortly. That being said, we are going to see the patented Zorkiz starter here for Krankendau. Still no expansion from him. Might have been a little bit wary when he scouted that 2 Fulcrum start. It's kind of worthwhile to think about it, right? Because when you have double Fulcrum, you usually do delay your natural. And so HitEmUp going for a kind of a fake out here by going for his fast expo super early on. Just cutting everything, and workers and units and everything. Now, a lot of Cyclops are pretty bad news for the Quas here. You can see them just getting shellacked. There is no detection here for Mr. HitEmUp, though. So those Lakes will have their way with him if he's not careful. But he is able to delay any attempted expansion. The Droleth was here as well. So we are going to see that happen. Now, a couple of shots going wild here. The star pad nowhere in sight for HitEmUp, and certainly nothing else. He's going to make a dive, see if he can maybe try to use that Cyclops area damage, but that is not going to work. And it looks like just like that, we might have found ourselves a way to get our natural up from the Zerg POV. There's triple Fulcrum, another Ministry. Okay, I can already kind of see the blueprint of this game. We are going to be seeing some real interesting moves from HitEmUp where he just tries to macro up around this. Now remember, Zerg can be pretty explosive. Now, Krankendau doesn't have the highest larva count right now. He's only making 3 every 14 seconds. It'll marginally improve when he gets his natural up, but he's probably going to be drolling a little bit, getting that worker count up. Right now, he is not that far behind HitEmUp's worker count. Some of those workers are a bit more efficient than others, particularly Talos is on gas. They do basically double saturate it immediately, so that can definitely be of assistance there. And, you know, the Ministry is coming up online as well. I mean, it's looking to me like what we're going to end up seeing from the Zerg POV is that he is going to feel a little bit behind economically for a little while now. And now Starpad coming for that inevitable detection. You need the Ant Seals to see what's going on there. A couple of mines have been placed. That's what the Ovoleth was there for, by the way, to detect those pesky lobotomy mines. He's going to step forward, take a salvo out. And, yeah, it looks to me like what we're seeing so far is just going to be sort of a soft contain from HitEmUp. When does he decide to cancel? I do like that he constantly moves back over his minefield, and we discussed this in the first match where HitEmUp was playing Terran versus the Zerg of Krankendau. I can't believe we are seeing triple Palladium, by the way. That, I'm very curious as to what this is all going to be for. He drops all 3 of them. It's instantly into Madrigals. Okay. So, very curious what he wants to do with those. Now, he doesn't have too many Cyclops on the left side flank. That could have been a good move. They get stunned, and that does reveal them. So, jumping onto those Lakes. Oh, but that one lives with 25 health. That's a little bit rough for HitEmUp. He even gets stunned on the way out with a couple of his mech units there. And Krankendau taking a little bit of time to pounce on. That means that only 1 Vulture goes down, but still. It's the thought that counts, right? Just using this Ministry as a macro, you know, extra worker queue for now. HitEmUp starting to swing very far ahead in the worker count, but Krankendau has secured himself opportunity for a 3rd base, so he's comparatively going to be a bit faster at securing a 3rd than he was compared to HitEmUp's natural taking tempo, right? And he might even go for another base immediately following that, but right now all we're seeing are quads exploring the map. Looks to me like we've got Vultures and Cyclops galore, now switching into some of the Phalanx. A Trojan on the way behind that Anseal, so it looks like HitEmUp will indeed be gearing up to try to pinch Krankendau's attention. But look, he's already set up the couple of units it is required to bang that out. That's actually pretty neat. That's pretty nifty, I'd say. Talos going to be earmarked in for some scouting. I do like that because now HitEmUp knows, okay, I probably shouldn't bother attacking that position. Only a few quads here doesn't actually... Oh, you know, if they were on attack move, they would have killed that Talos, but not quite going to happen. Preemptive Lakizalisk burrowed under that 3rd, which... bopped. So actually the 3rd doesn't get spotted by HitEmUp's Talos, and he is going to hard switch into mass Stockade. And when I say mass, I mean mass. All right, 10 Stockades on the way. You know, Krankendau's apparent response to that, you know, spiritual warfare from HitEmUp is just going to be going straight into the Iral Iris. Get that tier 2 up. Looks like he preempted a potential drop timing there. It didn't end up happening. His Ovoleth has just been, for free, looking around in this natural. He's going to scout out and see everything, so... that's a little bit of a whiff from HitEmUp. Probably could have maybe swatted him out of the sky with those Madrigals. :D. Yeah, he sees all of those started at the same time. He must be like, what the fuck? So his tier 2 is done. What does Krankendau do knowing what he's up against, right? Got a lot of idle workers over there, but he's capped the worker count exactly even now, right? So just stop the count here and we've got a dead even game. We'll see how that, you know, he's saturating his 3rd base a little bit faster, right? The Trojan is unloading, but the workers didn't actually get mining, so that kind of works out in Krankendau's favor a little bit there. He's going to just go ahead and send him back now. He's got a bunch of quas scouring the area, looking to try to punish the Trojan. Of course, there is a circuit there. And whatever, you fly over there, you're going to get caught by other quas. Oh, bopped. Now the static defense is going to continue to mutate. Alcag Eteth, I mean, he spots the Iral Iris, right? So he should know in this position that, okay, I might be a timer on what I can do. He's making 10 Hurricanes at a time, landing his 4th base, is scouted by Krankendau's quas. If it was a little bit over to the left, it would have even slowed down the actual landing, but it's pretty inconsequential. He gets a short look at the army or what have you, but what else? 11 Lyralisks on the way. Hey, Krankendau's using Lyralisks. He commented saying that he enjoyed a good Lyralisk usage. You know, he still likes to use them, even though they had -1 range recently. They're still really good. I mean, pretty strong unit, IMO. Yeah, so capping the gas, that's a good thing. He only does so at his 3rd base. Oh, and his 4th to the double gas base. That's good. So as of right now, I mean, HitEmUp has the tier 1 stuff, right? He's got a scary looking army. But remember that Krankendau should be able to reinforce a lot faster. Now the question is going to happen. Oh, a Vigoralisk coming out. Feels like those are going to be really good versus Madrigals. We shall see. The tier 2 now starting up as HitEmUp scaling his production and getting up to a ridiculous Huracan producing area. He's actually cut all military production for the time being. And thinking about maybe seeing what he can do to port forward. Yeah, all right, let's see. Can you host a game on Battle.net? Let's find out. I mean, all right, what I'm seeing right now is definitely pretty cost efficient there, but I still feel like this is going to be a difficult place to step into. His phalanx count is really low. He's invested a lot into Madrigals. So he's doing a few things with that, right? He's saying to Krankendau, don't even step to me with air units, because I will gun them all down. And also, the longer the fights, you know, like certain fights are going to be relatively easy to take here for the Zerg. He's actually going for a pretty good surround here coming in from the north. That's where the phalanxes are. The Avigralisks are going to waddle forward and absorb a lot of damage. They even absorb some of the phalanx shots. There's the Barrow to shred the Hurricans. Coming in from the north is the bulk of the Lyralisks, including some Zoryus, some Evigs. Okay. It feels like most of the damage has already gone from Krankendau's army, but I guess you can say the same thing about HitEmUp. He's all fallen, so a very glorious, bloody trade down, and mostly it's just Avigralisks left. Now, a bunch of Mavericks have arrived. They aren't stimmed. If they were, I would say, goddamn, this base would fall immediately. But as of now, it feels like this is going to be more than enough. Looks like the stim came up a bit late. He kills a Kagrant fully, and, you know, a Lyralisk fully. That's cool. But, yeah, that's going to be taken out of town. All right, you know what? For the first time in the series of games, even though Krankendau is worker deficit right now, I still feel like he's definitely got some kind of tempo advantage here. We'll have to see what he ends up doing. Okay, saturating the 4th base here. Finally, HitEmUp is. I guess his worker allocation might be a bit down. Fuck that phalanx with my firebats, aka Hurricans. Firebat is a pretty funny name, but Huracan is it's closer to Ahmed and therefore more true and real. You know what I'm saying? Lyralisks are going to pile on in here. You got to watch out because the phalanxes will still deal some pretty good damage to them. Good pre-positioning by HitEmUp's phalanxes as well to cover this entrance as well as anything coming in from the south. And it looks like the south will be tested by all of those Avigralisks. No detection means that those lobotomy mines kind of pivoted back into a little bit later on is pretty nice, actually. Stuns them, locks them up, lets the phalanxes do their work. We've got another come up, though, and look at that. We've got so many Lyralisks still at large. The phalanx is not loosing onto them. Where's that target fire that we need? It looks like the Madrigals are going to try to hold him at bay. Instead, he'll just charge up into the base. More Avigralisks rotating up. This could be a bit of a problem here. There's not that many units to chaff, sort of absorb the damage of the Avigralisks, and we even have more Lyralisks coming up as well. There still are a bunch of those lobotomy mines. This worker line has been absolutely massacred in HitEmUp's 3rd base. Bringing down the eco quite a bit here, I would say. Mavericks coming out for chaff. They can DPS down some things. And it looks like a couple more artillery shells will rain in onto the Zerg army. But yeah, I mean, this Ovolith has been spying on this position the whole damn time, right? And so he kind of knew there's nothing for static defense waiting up for me. Now, in the meantime, the Stockades are all lifted, and we've got 6 captaincies making apostles. Dude, what am I witnessing? HitEmUp is going to go ahead and dive forward with his Mavericks. As long as he stims, he might be able to get something out of here. There's the stim pack. It is going to start shredding these quads as well. Might even be able to break down an Evigoralisk. It looks like the answer to that is yes. He doesn't do a secondary stim, so he's not going to be as combat efficient later on. But, you know, for a bunch of chaff Mavericks, that seems to have worked out. Now, his Stockades are going to go ahead and just kind of fly into the enemy base. I hope that wasn't like a fat finger. No, he's intentionally doing it. He looked over there, and he's like, yep, that sounds about right. And decides to just do that. I also would type that in response. Is HitEmUp egoing me? What is going on here? I'm scouting. Yeah, that's sort of what I thought. You know, I figured it was intentional when I saw them lift up, because he's basically just gonna go, well, actually, hold on. This is a threat you actually have to take somewhat seriously, because you can't, if you start landing this and start pumping out Hurricanes into the enemy base, this could be a real threat. He's kind of focusing on just landing everywhere and trying to set up a wall, but he needs to actually start training Hurricanes out of this. This is a meme and a half. What do? Everybody's gangster until 10 Stockades land in their base at the, 15-minute mark. It looks like he doesn't want to make any Hurricanes, which is a shame. I definitely would have made some Ahmed here, but instead, he's going to go ahead and step forward with the rest of his army. He's pulling his opponent out of the way, and he was spending his minerals back at home instead. Now he's making some Mavs. I would love to see him land, you can't really fit any over there, can you? Yeah, Mavericks train pretty fast, so, Krankendau might think that he's just fine, but I feel like another round of Mavs, this could actually be a bit of a problem here. Certainly going to be a distraction and probably a rally point hazard. Apostles are on the field trying to keep Madcaps revived. It feels like most of them are kind of intermingled with the mech units, which is fine, that works too. Getting a little bit of extra, reclamation out there. Slowly but surely, it's incredible, honestly. I can't believe HitEmUp decided to do that. Yeah, he is actually egoing him. That's the spoiler there. Now, a lot of phalanxes have been made. All off of the triple fulcrum as well. Like, he's just been pounding those out, and now it's Madcap spam. This at flank in from the left-hand side. There's not so many madrigals, so you might be able to get to see some of those kills come in. Remember, there's not any detection either, so the Lakers would have been a great pivot back in, but a little bit too much there for Mr. Krankendau to handle. That is a rough situation. I almost updated the overlay to say that it was Krankendau who got it. Also, I don't know what happened to Krankendau's race icon. It's just gone. Here, I'll go ahead and Photoshop that back in. It was kind of funny. Because I was about to give Krankendau a win by accident. Spiritually he won, but really HitEmUp got him with just floating all of his Stockades into his base and confusing him. I think that psychic damage, spiritual warfare, really was a good call on that. So hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that match. That was something I hadn't seen before. Krankendau almost was he was pretty much on par when it came to resources, you'll note in that game, where they both harvested pretty much the same amount of resources. And I guess that is despite the fact that Krankendau sabotaged the mining at the third base with that attack. But it does feel like, both players at tier 2, one guy doesn't really go for crowd control versus the guy who's spamming captaincies and stockades and stuff. There's definitely some options that would have needed to be considered there. I always think that the Matrolith is good, but I didn't catch it when the Travel Nest was ever made. I did see him start to pivot into Gorgs later, which was kind of interesting. I wonder if you could do like Gorg Matrolith or something like that, but I do think that they, generally speaking, wouldn't stay alive for very long. Anyway, GG boys. We'll be back with more Cosmonarchy tomorrow. Remember, you can donate to project development via Coffee, and you can join our Discord server to play some games, to, join in on the fun, and we're going to have some more zany replays in the future as well. But for now, enjoy that HitEmUp match, and we'll see you tomorrow.